So I really appreciate you being here and supporting this first ever live Substack.
I'll tell people a bit about me, but you tell people a bit about you. First of all, where in Germany are you? Oh no, you live in New York.
No, actually, my company is New York based, but I am currently in Germany, in Munich.
Really quite a big city. Yeah. And tell people what you do for a living.
Yes, my name is Raffaela. I run a company called Boardlands. It's a platform for board directors, for fund managers, GPs, anyone involved in boards, and it helps you do this board work more efficiently with less risk. So you can imagine it like a super smart analyst at your side that checks all of the materials, that checks through regulations, that checks through industry news, competitor benchmarks. It checks 3, 5, 10 the 10 last board meetings, what has been promised, have the promises and commitments been held. Also checks what, for example, what deadlines are coming up in terms of governance, like are there any re-elections, are there any covenants you have to be aware of. So basically it makes the board work much, much easier and much less risky. And we
This
use
is
AI.
this is an AI platform, right?
Yeah,
AI platform?
yes, it's an AI
You
platform.
know, that is so amazing. Did you
Mhm.
see that the largest US law firm is creating what I think they call it an ontology. I don't know what they mean, but they're training an in-house AI. I think they're spending $500 million on it. They're training an in-house AI on their corpus of knowledge
Wow. Hmm.
to make it assess. But you think about it, like I've been a consultant for like 35 years, right? I mean, I have stuff from McKinsey, stuff from PwC, stuff from all the world, like whatever. I have 35 years of stuff on my hard drive, and it's just sitting there, it's wasted. But if somehow or another we can integrate that knowledge, I know you're doing something different. I think it's magnificent.
Yeah.
Do you think the day will come when we have the boardroom table at one end and we have someone driving an LLM at the other end, which is on a screen, and we're actually using it in real time to make decisions? I think we will.
Yes, yes, I think, and I mean, partly what we're building Borderlands for that. So it's certainly also meant as a companion you can use in the meeting that helps you on scenario planning, on thinking through what each decision could mean and what effect it could have, or also just helps remind you of different covenants or different um commitments you made to your stakeholders. But I don't think directors will be replaced anytime soon because I think in the end it's a lot about judgment. There's a huge coaching element as a director, and a huge human element. So I don't feel, for example, in my boards, the times when we are most needed as directors are the tough times when things do not go well, when there's a conflict or there's a really big potentially existential issue. And that requires a lot of, yeah, sensitivity.
Well, that's what AI fails at sometimes is edge cases. So that's a known failure
Yeah,
mode. You
exactly.
take it outside its lane, you know.
Yeah. And I think that's
Um,
what being a director is, right? You deal a lot with unprecedented situations. And yeah, that AI is not good at that.
but a lot of it is performative too. Let's face it, right? Okay, so a lot of it is like just like meaningless rituals. I mean, but anyway, while I am not easily impressed, but I am very impressed by that. I think that's magnificent. And I have, by the way, some main board directors, including some chairmen and stuff like that, and I like put your way because they might like interested in a conversation. I mean,
Yeah.
they may not buy. I met with one. She's on the board of. She's the next president of a bank, and she's on the board of like 4 or 5 companies. And
Yeah.
I was talking to her about it, which is a lot, right? It's a lot. It's an awful lot. And I was talking about her friend because she doesn't use AI at all, which is an extraordinary oversight. And I said, like, how long is the briefing pack for one of your meetings? And she's like, well, it's like 150 pages, 100 pages. How on earth does a human being? I mean, you could, right? You could take a week to go in through that and go through your highlighter and come up and generate questions and everything like that.
Yeah, and
Why
it's
would
getting
you?
longer. So I speak to directors daily, obviously, and especially fund boards. So when we talk about like say a BlackRock, one of the BlackRock funds or one of the iShares funds, all of these funds that you buy as a retail or institutional investors, they all have a board, right? And the board then ensures all of the fund guidelines and regulations are kept. And fund board materials are normally 1,000 to 2,000 pages for every board meeting. Imagine,
Yeah.
like that's like a book, right? It's like
well, no, it's not a book. It's not a book. No, it's a book. It's 5 books, right? It's five 400-page books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that many people anymore who read one 400-page book a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's amazing, and I think so. Just to introduce an abstract interpretation of what you're saying is one of the things I've written about is cognitive infrastructure. And part of the philosophy of technology is that human beings and technology have never been separated from 10,000, 25,000, 50,000, 100,000 years ago. As soon as we began to develop even flintstone tools or little beads for accounting, like for jewelry or anything like that, the use of technology began to change us and began to change our culture, right? And the human brain doesn't live inside the head. Actually, the mind, if you will, exists in community with other minds. Most of what we learned, we got from someone else. And for what's in our mind to be useful, it has to connect with that other minds. But that's one thing. But then also we've developed cognitive infrastructure, libraries, writing, and all these things. But they were always passive. The printing press, even the internet is really, really passive. And so we have this, always have had this, what they call extended cognition throughout human history for 25 years. But now our extended cognition is dynamic. So it's modifiable in real time, and it actually has advanced cognitive faculties of its own. So we have this, again, I find this very inspirational, exciting, and I know I talk about AI too. Actually, people go, "Oh, AI," I get, but I'm very excited about it. There's I'm a former scientist and former trader and former lots of things, and I have lots of different interests. And having an infrastructure, even a simple one, when I discovered Notebook LLM in 2024, I want to get married. I thought this is the best. This is the best thing I ever. I'm very sad. I'm very sad. What do you think about what I said? Cognitive infrastructure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, I have the same feeling. Like it's such magic. So in building Borderlands, and which is so if you think of what we just said, the unprecedented nature of the decisions board often have to make, and the sensitivity issues, and building like an AI for that is pretty frontier. And it is really magic what the AI can actually do and how quickly it can learn. For example, there's a few say board podcasts that the standard LLMs would not be trained, or certain regulations that maybe only us in Germany have that the standard LLMs would not be trained on. And so I have fed sort of a whole best practices board context into it, and it learns it so fast and then picks out the right moments to apply maybe a best practice example it learned in one of these, say, podcast episodes or from the German Corporate Governance Codex. I'm sure you have something similar in the US, and it applies it in the right situations. And it's such magic, so much better than I thought it would be. And yeah, so I could get married to it too.
you know, um, what worries me? I know, I mean, not as many as you, but say I know 30 people who either run companies, billion-dollar companies, or on boards of billion-dollar companies, or head of something for PwC, or they don't know shit about AI. They're really, really I meet them for lunch or whatever. I don't, and I say, "What are you doing?" And I use it here and there. Where can I get Wagyu on a Friday night? To look stuff up. I just think it's such a pity, and I don't know why it is. I mean, I'm considerably older than you, 66, and so a lot of the people that I know are really, I mean, the youngest of them are in their 60s, and they just, I mean, I even make the strong statement: if you're just talking to it, you're not really using it. Like it's useful for that, But if you're just getting advice from it and you're not using the agentic capabilities, you're not having to do work. I mean, this morning I woke up before I got out of bed and I thought, oh, I have to send this press release. And I had an agent. I just said, go find all the relevant journals, go find all the emails of the journalists, draft the press release, and send the emails. And I said, okay, I'll go like a good little dog, away and did it. And I that's magnificent for me. I don't know. I work for myself
How
and
did
by
you
myself.
how did you set up your agents? Like, and how did you learn how to use them? Because I mean, for many
Well,
people, it's also, they just don't know how to use it, so they use it as just a chat, right?
yeah. So I actually opened Claude Chat by mistake this morning, and I had a long discussion about some work I needed to do. I said, okay, go ahead and do it. They said, oh, I'm Claude Chat. I thought, oh shit. Now I have to get all of that. I said, can you summarize all of that in a document? Please put it in forward so we can actually do some work. I mean, you know, advice is important. I have a relative, a sister who was head of marketing for part of PwC. And I would meet with her and talk about my business interests and what I'm doing and everything like that. And she would give me marketing advice. Very good at giving marketing advice. Typical management consultant, right? Lots and lots of advice from it. I said, I don't really need advice. I mean, I need a little bit of advice because I don't know, don't know everything, don't know anything about marketing. What I need is execution. uh, you know, uh, and I think that's kind of a truest thing about the world is there are limits to which conversation without action in the real world just becomes noise, right? And so for my agents, so the easy way for the people, if you talk to someone, is first of all, they need an agent. So it's either it's products or it's plug co-work. And instead of opening the chat box, we open the forward was. And people say, well, what do I ask it to do? I said, I don't really know, but start with something. Use your imagination. You might start with, I get 400 emails a day, and
Mhm.
150 of them are newsletters. Tell me which 3 I should read, and delete the rest. You know,
Yeah.
that's a good start. Delete all the shit, all the spam, and all the incoming sales stuff. Delete that too, because I live in America and I probably get 100 sales emails a day,
Wow.
pitches.
Mhm.
And then tell me the 3 or 4 people that matter to me in my life, clients, family, friends. What do I have to what do I have to respond to? And so instead of responding to, well, I used to sit with my email like this with the delete key, just like this, you know, like doing that. That's like 15 minutes work. That's my email delete. It's a waste of time. So that's a start. I mean, and it may sound trivial and like it's not, not transformative, but it's something. And then I don't know how much you're doing the second brain stuff. Well, you're actually doing an enterprise second brain.
Yeah, I do. I
Is what
do.
you
Yeah.
do.
Mhm. Yeah.
You do
We're
Obsidian
building
or you
that.
do Motion or Obsidian?
Notion.
Motion, yeah.
Yeah.
I gave up on Motion. I thought, oh my God, the learning curve is just so stupid. But this was
Yeah.
like 18 months ago. I use Obsidian. And again, it's this distributed cognition. I have this workspace that has 4,500 files in it, which
Yeah.
I'm constantly querying and interacting with and something like
Yeah.
that. And it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
magnificent.
I
Lovely.
actually hear, like, it's a side track, but I hear the Obsidian community is insane, and they're all apparently all uh anyone using Obsidian becomes an ambassador for the company, much more so than in Notion or
Yeah.
anywhere else. It's really
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
I don't
It's a,
know,
it's a
like,
cult.
yeah, it's a cult, yeah.
Yeah, it's a cult. Obsidian's a cult. And you know what's really weird about it? I don't know if anybody here uses Obsidian. I wonder if I could just screen share.
Yeah. We also actually
I
have a
don't know.
question. I don't know if you saw, we got a question. Heather is,
Oh yeah, you answer the question.
yeah, no,
You go
Heather
ahead and answer the
asking, she's
question.
curious to know what platform you use for your team of agents.
I use Cowork mostly now. I
Yeah.
use Cowork and Plot and Codex. Those are my two. What are your favorites?
Yeah, well, I actually, well, so I use for my personal stuff, Cowork and of course also Code. But we also, for example, for the parsing and Borderlands, we actually use a lot of Gemini as well. Like we use a lot of various different LLMs for different purposes.
Yeah. How big is Borderlands, by the way? Is it just you and a few friends, or is it something more?
Yeah, well, it's a classic AI native team, so it's really what they say on LinkedIn is really true. Like, you don't need a ginormous team anymore to build a platform. Like, if I had built this platform 10 years ago, I would need at least a team of 20.
Oh, 4, 5, 10, 20. Yeah, a lot, right? Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. $1 million a year, no more. 2 million euros a year. Zell was it?
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And now, you can really have it's called a work tree on GitHub. So it basically means you can work on 6 or more features at the same time, because Claude Code takes a while until it does all the coding. So you do 6 at the same time. You're incredibly fast, and then you have your agents for your go to market. You have your agents to write your newsletter, right? And all of it, I never post anything that I haven't reviewed. So if you read my newsletter,
sure.
you'll see a human has written this, right? I take out all of the AI language when it says,
Oh God. Oh,
the whole M
I just
dashes.
wrote a book. I just wrote a book. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and it, I mean, I wrote the book, but then he goes and edits it, and it goes and edits it, changed my words a lot. I don't want to do that. So horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So I review everything, but
Yeah, I feel like
reviewing
I
is
found this. Yeah, I found a sister here on the other side of the world. We're sort of doing different. I mean, not, how do I know how to say it, but like very very similar. That's really cool. Um, what were you saying? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
yeah. So I'm saying, like, yeah, we have raised venture funding, but we are a small team trying to do a lot of things in house with the addition of a few very expert agencies and freelancers.
Yeah, very cool. My book, by the way, is on high stakes poker and what it
Hmm.
teaches about AI strategy.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's a very short book. We make a lot of high stakes decisions under uncertainty, variance, asymmetric payoffs, game theoretical considerations. That standard kind of poker mathematics. And it's also a game of psychology. So you also have to understand the way that your opponents understand risk. You don't have to just mathematically understand the risk of your own hand, the variance, the payoff matrix of your own hand. You understand the psychology of the way your opponent is interpreting their payoff matrix. So
Hmm.
it's a great game. So that's the thing. And I used to be a excuse me, derivatives trader
Well,
as well. So I'm a math guy. Math is math and science from my first loves. So that it's a very short book, but it's a really, I think, interesting and good book because I I didn't really want to write another book because God knows you don't make any money from them, and that's part of what I need to do as a human being. But then my speaker agent said to me, "I see you play poker." I said, "Yeah, but I don't want to talk about that with business people." And it's like, it's still colored. But he not that. No, he says that's pretty cool. So you think so? And then I talked to a friend of mine who's a Dutch main board directory kind of guy, and he said, "Yeah, you got to build poker into all your keynotes, man." I thought, really? This guy's very conservative. He's like a 71-year-old Dutch man, right? He's like not like, and I said, really? And so I was hearing all these different things like bring that because there are thousands and thousands of people who will talk to you about AI right now. But if you have something interesting to say about risk, judgment, uncertainty, taste, variance, all of that kind of stuff, and apply that to the to board work, kind of interesting story to tell people, which is more interesting than one of the other 3,000 people who are talking about AI right now. So that's what I wrote a book called Polymath Poker. It's not in German yet,
hmm,
though.
that's very cool. That's very
And I
cool. And
and
is that what your
I used to.
newsletter, like? Maybe also uh, to share a bit about your newsletter. Will you bring a bit of that in the newsletter as well that you're writing here on Substack?
I don't really do newsletters. I should probably. I just post. I come up with a new idea. I'm a crazy guy, so I wrote a post this morning, which has gone live on Substack, which is a review of meta ethics,
Hmm.
which is the ethic that sits above the ethics. So there are 30 or 40 ethical issues in AI, right? Copyright and privacy and some security, blah, 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 blah. It's a long list of things. But for things up above that is meta ethics. It's like, what are the ways we're using to make these ethical decisions? Because often what you have when you have these kind of ethical conflicts is it's, yes, sort of about the issue, but it's sort of about different meta ethical plane. For example, one of the oldest traditions in ethics is divine command, which is God, said that this ought to be so, and this is the moral diktat. And that's now translated down. Now it could be the policy, or it could be the government, or it could be a dictator, it could be a king. That was handed down and secularized during the ages. But if you try and argue with someone in America whose interpretation of ethics comes from theology, with someone who's more humanist or more virtue ethicist or more, some other more recent ethical frame, it's very hard to have the conversation, right? Because they have different meta-ethical stances. So I wrote a part on that. So I'm kind of, first of all, I'm all over the place, which some people think, oh, that's really interesting. And then some people think my speaker agent says, you got to focus more. I'm like, oh, I don't want to focus. I like doing what I'm doing. So that's what I'm up to. And then I also have a leadership framework, which is for artificial. I ran a leadership consulting firm for about a decade, and in London, which is my hometown. I think leadership and change is quite poorly understood. But the interesting question is, what is really different about leadership in the age of AI? Because what most people do in the big consulting firms is they take digital transformation and they do a search and replace and put AI in it, and that's what they're going to, Is there anything, because consultants are prone to say, oh, this is different, this changes everything. Well, does it really? I mean, leadership is arguably leadership. It's a 20,000, 50,000-year-old thing. There are even in animals, non-human animals, there are leaders, the alpha dog or whatever, or horse. I don't know all the animals, but I gather they have leaders. And so, as an old thing, is there anything different about AI that's not any other technology? The internet, Excel, the personal computer, and that's an interesting question to ask. I don't think we could just recycle old leadership bullshit, or we could try to think what really needs to be different. And one of the things I think needs to be different, which I think you'll agree with, is that you need to actually get your hands a little bit dirty. Like, it's not like calculus; it's more like carpentry.
Yes, I agree.
And I think a little. I thought you might. Anyway, sorry. I went on too long ago, and I know you have
exactly.
3 or 4
But maybe let me
minutes.
just add one thing. There's maybe also a good segue, because as you know, I'm writing a Substack newsletter, and have become. I think, I've become more and more excited about Substack, and I write a newsletter called the AI Leadership Edge, for those that don't know. And that's exactly my topic, right? So how do you actually lead in these times of AI, and what's different to before? And I do think leading by example has always been a key leadership principle, or like, the playbook you should have done. But I think now in the age of AI, it's even more appropriate than ever before, because, and to be honest, I've seen this myself. Until I actually started, for example, vibe coding, vibe marketing myself, I just had the grasp of what's even possible was not there, right? You hear it, that things are incredibly speedy and are so easy and so on, but until you do it yourself, you just don't grasp it. You cannot grasp it fully. So I think in these times more than ever. True. Yeah.
That's the point. And also, you're asking your employees to do something really quite difficult. You're, in a sense, rebuilding the ship as you're still sailing it. And it's not easy for them, because it's not as if anybody ever said, here's 10 extra hours a week that you can use to develop this. That never happens, right? So I think that's a real failure point. And I think unless you have actually, because it can be frustrating sometimes. If you're starting out and trying to orchestrate a workflow, it's like the permissions and the data sucks, and it's in 3 different places and all these different formats, and the thing falls over and it breaks and all that bullshit. And I think until an executive has just a little taste of what that feels like, and also you describe the joy, it's like, wow, because, I use this, I don't want to offend anyone, but it's like 13-year-old boys talking about sex. It's like, it's not really an abstract thing. It's a felt thing. And I think you can say, oh, you can speak abstractly about, the promise for humanity and everything like that. But until you've built something with your own fingers and gone, oh, wow, I didn't know it could do that. I think you need neither experience the joy nor the pain of what it's like to work with this tool. And so I think that's important for a leader, is to actually have, you say in America, what do we say in German? Skin in the game. What do you say?
And again, yes.
Wie sagt man das? Wie sagt man das auf Deutsch? Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure we have
Skin in the game.
Yes, if we have a phrase, then it doesn't come to mind right now. But skin in the game is a very good phrase, I would say. And I think it's probably also a great way to already end, because I think we're already at the end of our podcast.
I think, do you have any final words before you have to run? By the way, Raffaela has to leave. So I think one of the things is obvious, but you should do this again next week, 2 weeks, whatever. We should have some more. This has been really fun. Do you want to say anything else? Do you want to say, follow you? Where can the people find you?
Yes, find me on the AI Leadership Edge on Substack. I'm on LinkedIn, and obviously, if you're interested in Boardlands or the AI Leadership Edge, then you can subscribe to either. And obviously, happy to see you there.
And I might have some customers for it, so let's keep
cool.
Okay, sure.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. Thanks everybody for joining for my first Substack Live. I hope send me your feedback afterwards, and then hopefully see you soon.
Thank you, Lucy. Bye bye.